Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So start with some question. Anybody? I thought some questions were going on. Is it not when I came?
No, Swami, I was just asking them to introduce themselves.
Oh, okay. All
while
right.
I was waiting for Swami to come.
Anything that occurs to you? Yes.
I heard somebody whispering, what is the chocolate that you're...
What is the candy that you have in your mouth? It's called cough suppressant. It is a organic cough suppressant made in Switzerland. It's called Ricola, that's the name. And it is sugar-free also. Although it is sweet, but sugar-free. Is that enough description? I'm glad that you asked and this is clarified. Every day, everybody will have this question in their mind, what is it that Swami is? Swami, can I have that chocolate? Some people have asked me also. So it's not chocolate, it's medicine rather than chocolate, but it's sweet medicine. Then shall we continue the session of introduction,
I will give it to Swamiji.
Can Swamiji talk about the significance of the retreats and how one can benefit?
So, Swamiji used the word retreat instead of a camp or a workshop. He used the word retreat. Retreat is usually a place of solitude where you get an opportunity to be with yourself. So here is a retreat which of course gives us an opportunity to be with ourselves. At the same time, how do we best utilize the time that we have in retreat? The advantage of coming to Gurukulam like this is number one, particularly for the ladies, no cooking, no washing, no cleaning, meaning no household chores, hopefully no telephone calls, but that I cannot say now with the cell phones, no ringing of bells, milkman has come, servant has come, this fellow has come. At home, constantly there are distractions. Because you have to run your home, you have to manage your home, and there are distractions that are bound to be there. So here is an advantage that you can be, if you want, be free from distraction. It's up to you to answer phone calls, etc. You can fix a given time, period. for others to call you when you are available, so that you are not disturbed by the cell phone. I cannot say don't bring your cell phone, but I guess people can't live without cell phone. And understandably so, because we have so organized our life that cell phone has become essentially a necessity. It's not just a luxury, but to live the life and perform day-to-day activities also, cell phone has become very essential, or at least we have made it essential. The olden days when cell phone was introduced, people were using it so much that R.K. Lakshman, there was a cartoonist in Times of India. He shows two teenage brothers in the same home talking to each other on the cell phone. Because you want to talk on the cell phones. So we cannot say that you keep the cell phone away from you. But a suggestion is you can make it known to others that you are available on the cell phone in a given time period. So if they need some clarifications, if we need some clarification, that can take place. This is to remain as much as possible free from distractions. Because retreat means ideally spending time with oneself. But here, also the benefit of classes, Vedanta classes, where Vedanta guides us how to be with ourselves. The primary subject matter of Vedanta, all Upanishads, is the self. Therefore, the Upanishad is explaining self-knowledge. So during the classes, there will be contemplation upon the self, in one way or the other. But then, at other times also, as much as possible, spending time with ourselves, as much as possible. So, you can, all of you have the text, the handout is there.
Not yet given, Swamiji.
It will be given.
It's here.
It's here.
At the end of the session, it's normally given.
Oh, okay, all right.
You want to?
May I see that?
Yes.
Okay. It's very fancy.
Yes.
Yes.
Here it is.
There you are. Very, very fancy, envelope with various things in there also. Various goodies are there. Oh, there is pen, pad for writing notes, the badge of your name. Well, there is no name here. It says Vedanta Retreat so and so. Okay.
Write their own names.
Yes, you can write your own names. It's a very professional job, this one. I shouldn't use the word professional. It's a very Swami job. And this book contains the verses of the text that you will study. In case you are not very familiar with Devanagari script, then verses are also, the English transliteration also is given, and English translation. So at home, you have the freedom, as far as I am concerned, to look at one or two verses to get an idea of what possibly will be talked. Not that simple verse and translation will tell you too much, may not. But still, if you read to this, say, let's say, 2-3 verses several times at home before coming to class, you'll be familiar with the general topic that will be discussed. Hopefully, familiar with the words of the verses, to whatever extent it is possible. They'll give you a head start. You know what is head start? When they have the sprint, the race, running, these fellows are all poised like this. Have you seen any race like that? Moment shoot right away. So there is a head start. It doesn't start from standing position. That's called head start. You know head start? It's an advantage. So if you look at this at home, familiarize yourself with, even if you don't understand, still familiarity is there. And then when it is unfolded, talked about in the class, then things will see, oh, Isha, Tena, Taktena, and you've seen translation, spend a little time with that. And by the way, there's a book also now, Ishavasya Upanishad. You're welcome to have it from the bookstore, and then depends on how enthusiastic you are. Depends on how much commitment you have. Depends on how much you want to gain from this retreat. Basically, you are here to learn. So learning is the primary purpose of the retreat. And in a setup like Gurukulam, where all other things are provided to us, we have a fair amount of time available to us. Of course, you can take walks, you can do various things, no doubt, and do your, if you are doing japa, puja, that you may do. And still you have time available. And my recommendation would be, take some time before the class, any time before the class, and familiarize yourself with what the discussion is likely to be. It may not, it will center around, so it's likely that it's somewhat different, but you know the basic theme or subject matter. So that will help you to understand and grasp better. And then when you go home, again, review what has been done in the class. Before coming to the next class, familiarize with what is possibly going to happen, listen, go back, again review. So that way you have the opportunity to study this 2-3 times, and that will give you more clarity. More often you do, more impressions are stored and gathered in the mind. More satisfaction you will have of learning. Because when you hear something, when you understand, that gives a great joy. Understanding gives a great joy. And therefore, to make this process, this whole retreat, a process of understanding, your participation also would be very useful. that you're not just the silent listeners, but active listeners. Listeners do not themselves do anything, say anything. But then, as you listen to the class, in the mind also the same thought process goes on that you hear. And that is the thought process which is conducive to understanding what the theme is. That's called vichara. Vichara is a particular process of thinking which is conducive to understanding what it is that the scripture wants to say. And so, your participation of this nature would be very beneficial to you and would be encouraging to Swami also. Because when you are in front of people who show a little understanding, or when you see a little smile or expression of understanding in the face, that is very gratifying, So my interest also is involved. When I say this, then my interest also is involved because the process of teaching also becomes more effective, more enjoyable. So this should become an enjoyable experience for you. Upanishad says, Satyam Jnanam Anantam. Satya means truth, which is the self. Jnana means knowledge. Ananta means Anandava, happiness. So knowledge of the self gives us happiness. Which means that this knowledge is meant to give us happiness. And more clearly we understand, happier we will feel. Because when you get an insight into something, how knowledge gives us happiness, oh yeah, I understand. So when that insight comes, when something clicks in the mind, it is an experience also when studying in schools and colleges and otherwise also. How when you solve a problem, you understand something, how it makes you happy. So thus, this is meant to also make us happy. So thus the purpose of the retreat will be best served when you also participate in this manner. So even though when you are listening, it looks like the listener is not doing anything, listener also is very active in the mind, and the process of thinking and understanding goes on, and that's what gives you happiness and satisfaction. So that is the purpose of retreat. That, number one, you are free from distractions. Number two, you have a good amount of time at your hand because you are free from other chores or responsibilities. So you can be as much as possible with yourself. So try to use this time as best as you can. Because you also cannot find time from your life schedule to, everybody is very busy. A lot of engagements. So take out 1 week also is not easy, I'm sure, for many of you. Meaning that such opportunities do not arise very often. So now that you have chosen to dedicate 1 week of your time to come here, then it is only proper, appropriate that you make the best use of it. And then we can avoid unnecessary phone calls, unnecessary talking, unnecessary vyavahara. Our Bade Swamiji, Guruji of our Guruji, Swami Chinmayanand ji, when he used to hold camps in Siddhabari, he would give a orange cloth to everybody. That is practice those days. What it is, I don't know, but those days, when that Siddhabari ashram had almost begun. That was in the early 80s. He would give one orange cloth to him. What does it mean? It means that you are a sannyasi in spirit during the time period of this retreat. So even though we will not give you a cloth, but you can tell yourself that for this week, at least you are a vanaprastha, put it this way. And vanaprastha is the one who goes to forest, which is where you come. In the midst of nature. And this forest has a beautiful temple and a lot of other activities going on. So, the purpose of the vanaprastha, vanaprasthya if you call it, is vanaprasthanam, proceeding towards the forest. The idea is that a vanaprastha would hand over all the duties and responsibilities to the successor, to his son, let us say, eldest son. Tvam yajna, so you are yajna, you are the Veda, you are Brahma, you are the Loka. Tvam Brahma, Tvam Loka, Tvam yajna. Meaning that the yajna that I was performing so far is now what you will perform. Whether that is formally done or not, but the vanaprastha means one who has now retired in a true sense, where all the responsibilities are handed over. You may not have done that in your life, but at least for a week, you can enjoy the status of being vanaprastha, where all responsibilities are given up for a week. You can tell your family members, I'll take care of it after 1 week. So, thus the mind is free. Otherwise, there is always something going on in the mind. Okay, at home this is going on, and this is what I'm required to do, this is what they want. One corner. And that thinking may be a distraction to what you want to do here. Anyway, the idea is that how to best use the opportunity that you have during this week. It does not come very often. Even if you want, it's not easy to take a week out. Even if you have a week, it's not easy that something is available. And so it's a good coincidence. Make the best use of it. And Swamiji, did you tell them what you are going to teach them? No. In the class itself or whenever? Okay. Now any question? Yes, sir.
Every one of us have
1 second. He'll give a microphone. Please speak into the microphone.
Hari Om Swamiji. Every one of us have come here for this retreat by keeping some of the expectation and goals in our mind. But I want to know from you what you want us to achieve at the end of the retreat. Thank you so much.
Very good. more or less explained, how you should spend your time. So basically you are here to learn. So I would wish that the subject matter is Ishavasya Upanishad. And it is meant to help us understand our life, help us how to live the life. So one of the exercises you can do in your mind is, what is the practical use of what Swamiji is teaching us? We do not want this to be simply a theory. This is not a scholastic kind of study. It is meant for us to help us get viveka, discrimination in our life, make right choices, live the life such that you progress on the path of happiness, basically. So I don't have any expectation from you really, but then if I were you, this is what I would do, is to understand this as best as I can. And you have the freedom to ask questions also. Swamiji, this is what we taught. What does it mean to me? How do I put it in? You can ask that question also. How do I put into practice? Or in the life that I am living, how is this going to be useful? But if you study the way I just said, you will become familiar with this text. And hopefully you will take something home with you. They call take home. Ideally, Swamiji has given you also a notebook. If I were you, not very elaborate, but then it's a good idea to make notes of essential points. Because we cannot remember everything that is said. This is this is something new for us. Therefore, my suggestion is that while you are listening, if you can make notes also. So then when you go back to your room, and then when you go through what exactly we studied today, that will become even more clear. When we started our study with Pujya Swamiji, it is the first 6 months. We are supposed to write notes and submit them, But the benefit that I found in writing, you write notes in the class, but then go home and write longhand to recall what happened, what was said in the class. That gives you clarity. You write something. You cannot write something unless there is clarity in the mind. So we found that very, very rewarding. Anyway, even if you don't write something in the class, at home also, you can recollect some points and do that. But try to be with this as much as you can when you are here. In the class, while writing notes at home, elaborating what you wrote or thinking about what you wrote. Yes.
Namaste, Swami. I have a general question about the Upanishads. So I understand, I've seen that a lot of Upanishads are there. Is there a general theme among all the Upanishads, or does each Upanishad deal with a different theme? Thank you.
The theme of all the Upanishads is one. I, or the self, is the subject matter of the Upanishads. And the theme is that you are limitless, you are free, you are complete, you are what you want to be in your life. Whether we know it or not, whether we give a thought or not, each one of us is trying to be something. So here you get the clarity of what it is that you are trying to be. And Upanishad teaches that you already are what you are trying to be. Meaning that it is not something to be, but something to recognize. That is called knowledge. So let us say that the purpose of this is to gain a better understanding about life, understanding about ourselves, understanding about how we should live, etc.
With the evolution of internet.
That little closer to your mouth, please.
Okay. So with the evolution of internet, many of us are exposed to the Western way of teaching spirituality. Many people assume that dismissal of mind and dismissal of thoughts is what is all about self-knowledge. So how does the traditional teaching dismisses this? Could you please throw the light on this?
Yeah, okay. Knowledge means understanding. It is not dismissal of mind, it is understanding the mind. Understanding the thought or understanding the mind. And understanding the one whose mind it is, meaning understanding the self. So understanding is the primary purpose. Then whatever happens, suppose you see something here in the garden, you think it's a snake. A torchlight is shown, it turns out to be a rope. So when you recognize that this object is rope, what you thought was snake is nothing but a rope, so what will happen in your mind? The idea of snake will disappear, isn't it? It's called dismissed. So if you want to use the word dismissed, we don't like to use the word. But dismiss means when you realize that what you understood was not right, in the light of right understanding, what was wrong understanding is given up, it drops off. So not dismissal, but it drops off. You follow? So anything that you thought was right, when you recognize that it is not right, you don't hold on to it. Let it go. So it is let us say, process of letting go, not dismissal. Dismissal is not I don't like that word. You can't dismiss anything. We respect everything. We don't dismiss anything. We respect everything. So it is not dismissal. It is letting go, dropping. So when I discovered in the light of my new understanding that early understanding was wrong, I happily let it go. This dismiss business, it's very, what shall I say? Sounds rather rude to me to dismiss something. Everything is beautiful. Everything is its own place. And therefore giving it the right place. Yeah, you may dismiss it. Then when you go home, you take out your shoes where the shoe rack is and don't take it to your, temple. So I dismiss the shoe. You didn't dismiss the shoes. You give the shoes the right place, you follow? Yeah.
Probably it may be answered in tomorrow's session or whatever it is, but just a question cropped in my mind. So this is an year-end retreat which we have been having almost every year. So this time, Ishavasya Upanishad has been picked. What was the rationale behind picking this particular Upanishad this time? You can throw some light.
Oh, well, the rationale is that we to choose a text. Like last year was Mandukya Upanishad, year before, I think. Which we can sort of complete in this time period that we have. And see, the text is complete and you have also a complete idea. That's the idea. So, choose a very long text and it remains unfinished. So, this is a relatively short Upanishad.
Hari Om Swamiji. Is it possible to achieve the Swarupa Jnanam by this lifetime itself?
Sure?
If that is possible, what are the things which we have to make taken care to achieve that, Swamiji?
So, to gain the knowledge, we require two things. First, of course, listening to the teacher. So, the two entities are involved. The teacher is teaching, the student is learning. So, the mind of the students also should be prepared. In Vedanta, it is called Antahakana Shuddhi, or purification of mind. So, on our part, we have to work to make our mind as clean and as pure as we can by removing impurities like anger, lust, greed, attachment, aversion. These are called impurities. That also will become part of discussion. To make our mind free from these impulses, mind becomes quiet, tranquil, thinking, contemplative. It is possible to understand what the scripture teaches best in that kind of a mind. So our effort is also to prepare that mind. You can call it purification of mind, maturity of mind. So that is the part that we have to do. Combine the two, then knowledge takes place. Okay, we'll conclude tonight. We'll conclude with one bhajan. I will request them to switch off the lights. But you have to repeat after me. Okay, yeah. These also you can switch off. Jaya Jaya Rama, Jaya Raghurama. Jaya Jaya Rama, Jaya Raghurama. Sita Rama, Shri Raghurama. Sita Rama, Shri Raghurama. Jaya Jaya Rama, Jaya Raghurama. Sita Rama, Shri Raghurama. Pashupati Ranjan Pavan Rama. Pashupati Ranjan Pavan Rama. Papa Vimochan Pavaka Nama. Papa Vimochan Pavaka Nama. Jaya Jaya Rama, Jaya Raghurama. Sita Rama, Shri Raghurama. Pashupati Ranjan Pavan Rama. Papa Vimochan Pavaka Nama. Jaya Jaya Rama, Jaya Raghurama. Jaya Jaya Rama, Jaya Raghurama. Sita Rama, Shri Raghurama. Sita Rama, Shri Raghurama. Pashupati Ranjan Pavan Rama. Pashupati Ranjan Pavan Rama. Papa Vimochan Tarak Nama. Everybody join. Papa Vimochan Tarak Nama. Jaya Jaya Rama, Jaya Raghurama. Rama 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 Rama. 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 Ram 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 Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramayah Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhaved Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amrutangamaya Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamada Purnameva Vasishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari